golf called risk reward. It's a decision each player makes to calculate if the risk taken with any particular shot is worth the reward it might bring. High schools are taking the same approach with in-person learning and sports in the age of COVID. Hanover County schools are attempting both. And the folks at Atlee High School have given us a behind-the-scenes look at everything they are doing to make sure the reward is well worth any risk. When the world came to a near grinding halt back in March due to the COVID pandemic, most everyone thought life would be back to some sort of normal by the fall, especially coaches and athletes whose seasons were cut short or erased altogether.
When it first started back in March, April, you think, all right, there's no way. We'll be back. Life will be normal in November.
We know now that normal is still a long way off. Gavin Braley is a senior at Atlee High School and has played sports his entire life. Not having that outlet and not knowing the future took its toll on him, both physically and mentally.
I'm not trying to play basketball at the next level, so it would, like, having my junior year last game had been my last game of basketball ever would have just been awful, not knowing that it was my last basketball game ever. I felt like I was missing a part of my life, honestly, because I was just sitting inside, not doing anything, having to quarantine.
Several area high schools have taken on the challenge of having winter sports seasons, which started earlier this month. In Hanover County, schools began playing January 4th, and the start of an abbreviated season was not guaranteed until the first inbounds pass of the first game.
Up until that day, we were it was just keep evaluating, keep listening to senior staff members, kind of keep going through the process. So when we got the kickoff tryouts that afternoon, it was like, okay, it's here, let's go.
I didn't think there was going to be a season, honestly, and then when news got told that we're going to start January 4th, I was really excited, especially because, I mean, we have a shortened season, but it's still, at least we have a season.
A season unlike any other. Malloy walked us through some of the different precautions schools and teams are taking this year just to have a season.
So one of the biggest changes we have is currently we're unable to use our locker rooms, so we can't get in there for any practices or games, so we've had to adjust. So when our athletes do come to practice, they have to find themselves dressed, ready to go for practice. They have to bring their own water. They can find a mark here on the walls to show where they can stand and place their stuff, so we can be 6 feet or more in social distancing. So for our benches, we've got all seats 6 feet apart. When the athletes check into a game, they can take their masks off while playing. When they check back out, they got to find their assigned seat, put their mask back on. Coaches are in masks the entire time, both during games and practices. So you'll notice extra hand sanitizer stations, both on the sidelines and around the school, to help keep our athletes' hands clean, because that's vital to help mitigate the spread of the disease.
Schools are also using UV wands to help identify germs on basketballs and seats, and the game personnel at the scorer's table are all distanced and sectioned off also. Another huge difference is having very limited fans, but schools are finding ways to live stream events for people at home. And that can also come with challenges.
We're certainly not ESPN, but
it's a lot to go through. But everyone is willing to do this and so much more if it means having a season at all.
Having missed most of the spring season, not really doing anything in the fall, the kids were ready and they were willing to do whatever it took to play.
We met with all the teams before the season, I did, and reminded them that this is a responsibility and a privilege that, like no other, that they have to, whatever rules are in place, they've got to follow. Whatever success is measured during the winter season will determine if we can continue on with the fall season and then continue on with the spring season. So they know what to do and how to get it done.
I'm glad we get to and have a chance to play, even if it's just the 4 teams in our county. It's still nice. It's better than nothing.
We'd like to give a big thank you to Brian Capaldo and the Hanover County Schools for helping us with part of this story, including showing the precautions that Coach Malloy and his staff are taking for the teams. Hanover schools are only playing each other in this abbreviated season, but their teams will participate in the regional playoffs scheduled to begin in just a couple of weeks. If you would like to nominate someone to be profiled, just email us at beyondtheroster@WTVR.com.